Hi, Domenica here from easysewingforbeginners.com. In this video today I'll be showing you the wool pressing mat along with some different ways that you can use it in your sewing room. Now I'm using the Sewmatic brand and it comes with some Teflon pressing sheets, which I will show you those after. But I particularly like this smaller size, which is the 17 inch by 13.5 inch, and I've been able to get a discount code to purchase this on Amazon. So if you like the look of this product and you want to check it out, then check out the YouTube description box at the end of this video. Okay, so the wool pressing mat is made out of 100% wool, and this one's New Zealand wool. It is really good for pressing seams, so initially that's what I purchased it for, but I realized that there's so many other uses for this particular mat that I found. So to start off with, the wool really retains heat really well, so when you're quilting and you want to iron your seams and you want them really flat, the wool pressing mat will retain the heat, and it's like pressing your fabric from the underside as well. So if I just give that a quick press, you get a really flat, crisp press. Okay, and the wool, you can feel that the mat is warm as well. Now I tend to use mine on my sewing table, and I think it actually states on here that you can use it on different surfaces with the dry heat, but I wouldn't recommend using it on a pressing mat or a wooden surface, because if the wool does have some moisture in it or you are using steam, it does tend to go through and it may warp or damage whatever you're pressing on. So put it onto a heat-proof surface or a plank of wood or something that you don't mind if it gets a little bit warped or damaged. Okay, so really nice flat seams, and I actually find it's like a little mini portable ironing board, because I like to keep it next to my cutting mat on my sewing table, and I actually also use it to iron things really quickly. I find this size super portable, so if I just need to iron a collar on one of my jumpers, I'll just get this out, put it on the bench in the kitchen, get the iron out, give it a press, and it's done, and I don't need to get the ironing board out. So really convenient in that way. Now if you're doing a project that needs to be blocked, you can simply put pins into the fabric, into the mat, because it's 1/2 inch thick. It's a good thickness and density, and you can shape it, stretch it to the size that you want, or if you're doing a beading project, you can pin your materials, your string, whatnot, into the actual board. I also find that the mat has a nice grip to it, so your fabric doesn't slip while you're ironing, and even if you try to tip it off, it actually grips on and stays on the mat, which is pretty cool. So another thing this mat is perfect for is when you're doing fusible applique. So you might be using heat and bond like this, or some other kind of fusible web. And you know, when you're using this stuff, you don't want to get it on your iron, and you particularly don't want to get it onto your new mat. So that's where these Teflon sheets come in handy. But I've found with this paper dolls block, for example, this is by the Red Boot Quilt Company, so it's a free sew along for 2020, so check it out. I'll put the link in the description box down below. But what you can do is you can put your pattern piece down, and then I like to put one of the Teflon sheets over the top. And the great thing about the Teflon is it's non-stick, so even if you iron the fusible web onto the Teflon, once it's cooled you can peel it right off. So all I do is I layer it on top, give it a press with the iron, and then the next piece, just remove the backing paper, Now with this glue, you definitely don't want to go getting it stuck on your iron, because if you've ever accidentally ironed your fusible applique on the wrong way and it's stuck on your iron, you'll know what I mean. It's terrible and it's hard to get off. So you can actually use this other sheet as well to protect your iron. So I'm just going to lay that on, and because I can see through the sheet, it makes this super easy. And I'll just put that on top. Give it a press. And it just makes it really helpful for placing all the pieces. So once it's cooled completely, you can just peel it off. And there will be nothing left on your Teflon sheet, and all your glue is still on there ready to be ironed onto your piece of fabric. So a super handy and convenient way to do fusible applique. So the other thing these mats are super helpful for is when you're using heat transfer vinyl. Sometimes if you're layering vinyl or you don't have the carrier sheet, so this plastic covering on the vinyl, you want to protect your fabric, your vinyl and your iron. So you can put it on your mat and put your Teflon sheet over the top, and this will just help protect your vinyl and your iron, and you can do heat transfer at home without all the special handy tools. Okay, so really helpful when you're doing anything with heat transfer vinyl on fabric. The other thing I found this super helpful for is when I'm making my own fabric labels. So in a previous tutorial I showed you how I print my labels onto heat transfer paper and then I iron it onto ribbon, and you'll see in that video that I used I think it's like a skillet or something from the kitchen, because it had a really nice hard base and it was heat proof. Now I just use this mat, which is awesome. So I can simply do this now, cover it up with this sheet, give it a press, and then my fabric label is ready to cut up and use. If you're into doing projects with a hot glue gun, then you can use the mat, the Teflon sheet on top, and that gives you a heat-proof non-stick surface, which is awesome, especially when using a hot glue gun. So as you can see, there's so many uses for this mat, and the more I use it, the more uses I find. If you've got a different use that you know of, pop it in the comments down below and let me know. I'd love to find out any other ways that I can use it. Now, some of the downsides of this mat, it is quite an investment even for this size. I think on the US Amazon, they range between $25 to $35 for this size, but I'm thinking I'd like to upgrade to the bigger size because I use it so much. I might keep this as a portable size, and then I'll have another one that'll just stay on my sewing table in my sewing room. The other downside is some of them have a really sheepy smell to them. So I actually had one given to me originally, which is this one, and it's a little bit darker, and you can probably see the fibers a little bit more, but has a really strong sheep or wool odor, whereas this one does not have an odor. Maybe if I used steam, there might have been something, but it wasn't very strong at all, and I can't smell anything at all now. So that can be a downside depending on which one you buy. So this one I don't even use, I just keep tucked away because it's really, really strong. And I can't really handle the smell of it. It doesn't bother some people, which is fine. So this particular one is the Somatic brand, and I do have a coupon code at the moment, so check the YouTube description box down below to see if it's still available, depending on when you're watching this. Leave a comment down below if you have any questions. Hit the thumbs up button if you like this video, and don't forget to subscribe to keep up with all my new tutorials. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.